The first sign something was wrong was how quickly my father answered the phone. Usually, family plans involved confusion, delayed replies, last-minute adjustments, somebody forgetting something. But the morning of my daughter's 8th birthday party, he picked up immediately. His voice sounded tired. "Bad timing," he said. "Everyone's sick." Behind him, I could hear a television playing faintly. "Everyone?" "Yeah, your mother too. We didn't want to risk bringing it around the kids." I stood in the garage holding a plastic bag filled with paper decorations my daughter had picked herself. Purple stars, cartoon planets, glow-in-the-dark stickers. For a second, disappointment rose in me automatically. Then something older arrived behind it. Recognition. "Oh," I said quietly. "Okay." He sounded relieved too quickly. "We'll make it up to her." Sure. After we hung up, I stayed standing there longer than necessary. Not angry yet, just strangely unsurprised. The party still happened. Children rarely notice absences the way adults do. My daughter ran through the backyard laughing with her classmates while cheap streamers tangled in the fence. My wife organized games nobody followed properly. Pizza boxes stacked near the patio door. At one point, my daughter asked, "Grandma sick?" "Yeah," I said. "Looks like it." She accepted the answer immediately and went back outside. That simplicity hurt more than if she'd cried. The photo appeared later that night. My sister posted it at 11:14 p.m. beachfront restaurant. 6 smiling faces around a long table. Cocktails ocean behind them, Cabot. Finally all together again. I stared at the screen until my wife quietly sat beside me on the couch. Neither of us spoke immediately, because once something becomes undeniable, conversation feels unnecessary for a while. I zoomed in on the photo without meaning to. My father wore the same shirt he'd had on during our phone call. Not sick, vacationing. The strangest part was that they hadn't even hidden it carefully, which meant one of two things. Either they assumed I'd never see it, or they assumed I'd tolerate it. I think that realization changed more than the lie itself. Years earlier, after my parents retired, we created a joint family account to simplify shared expenses, medical bills, emergency repairs, travel coordination. Over time, I became the primary contributor because my business did well and my sister's income fluctuated. Nobody explicitly demanded it. That's how these arrangements survive so long. They hide inside words like support and family. I handled most of it quietly. My wife once asked, "Do they even know how much you cover?" I remember answering too fast. "It doesn't matter." But apparently it did, because the morning after the photo, I drove to the bank before work. The branch manager knew me by name. I've been handling the account for almost 7 years. The conversation stayed calm and painfully professional. "Yes," I said, "I'd like to remove my recurring transfers and close my participation access entirely." The manager glanced at the paperwork. "Would you like us to notify other account holders today?" I thought about my daughter blowing out candles while my family drank cocktails somewhere near the ocean. "Yes," I said. "Today's fine." Authority changes emotional situations in strange ways. Feelings become procedures, signatures, confirmation emails, balance sheets, no yelling. Just systems adjusting to reality. My father called 3 hours later. At first he sounded confused, then defensive, then angry. "You closed the account over a misunderstanding." I almost laughed at the word misunderstanding. "You lied about my daughter's birthday. We didn't want drama." "No," I said. "You wanted convenience, silence, real silence this time." Then my mother came onto the line. "We already paid for part of the trip," she said carefully. "Why would you do something this extreme without talking to us first?" That sentence settled heavily between us. Because somehow my reaction required discussion, their decision hadn't. Over the next week, the emotional balance inside the family shifted quietly but unmistakably. My sister stopped posting vacation photos. My father sent messages that sounded strangely formal. Questions about pending bills started appearing. The family account had covered more than casual expenses, insurance deductibles, property taxes during tight months, small automatic protections nobody noticed while they existed. Nobody begged immediately. That came later. After practical reality replaced indignation, 2 Sundays afterward, my parents came to the house unexpectedly. My father looked older than he had at the beach, not dramatically, just less certain. My mother carried a gift bag for my daughter that seemed purchased in a hurry. When my daughter opened the door, she smiled politely but without excitement. Children adapt faster than adults realize. My father asked if we could talk privately. We stood near the driveway while evening light faded across the street. "We made a mistake," he said finally. I waited. "But closing everything like this," he exhaled slowly. "You put us in a difficult position." There it was again, position, arrangement. Structure, practical language replacing emotional honesty. I looked back through the window at my daughter sitting on the floor with my wife, opening art supplies from friends who had actually attended her birthday. Then I looked at my father. For the first time in years, I stopped trying to rescue the conversation. "I think," I said carefully, "you confused access with permanence." He didn't answer. Neither did I. Eventually, he nodded once and walked back toward the car where my mother sat waiting quietly in the passenger seat. After they left, my daughter asked if Grandma and Grandpa were still sick. I stood there for a second too long before answering. "No," I said softly. and somehow that felt like the first honest thing anyone in the family had said in weeks.